big budget games are failing in part because teams are overscoping their projects. Overscoping these days is usually like a code word for chasing trends. What it is. So they have an idea, and then they start that idea, and then something else releases, and then they're like, oh, that's really popular. We need to have that game mode in our game, so our game is also popular. And so they add something to the scope, and they keep adding and adding and adding, and that's overscoping. Because they don't innovate, they want to trend chase. Because the bigger the budget, the less risk-averse you are. So Concord, Suicide Squad, Star Wars Outlaws, Final Fantasy 16. It's a shame that 16 didn't do well. It did better than 15 at least. The list of big budget video game failures is growing longer each month. This is a very lean list if you want to list out the failures. Holy shit. Struggling to make a dent in the dominance of older, more established players in this brutal of markets. In the most brutal of markets. Let me see here. I'm going to go down to the quotes. Both Concord and Suicide Squad took years to develop at the cost of hundreds of millions of dollars. And this is another thing, like the higher the budget and the larger the scope, that correlates directly with how long it's going to take to finish the product, right? And the problem is like trend chasing. To jump onto a trend, you have like the chances of you being able to successfully jump onto a trend is directly correlated to how agile you are as a company and the products that you're making are during the development cycle. So, like, the larger in scope and budget and timeline these projects are, the less agile they become. So, like, it's basically, like, the larger the project is, the less likely it is to be able to successfully jump onto a trend because the timeline is so fucking long. But at the time that game releases, that trend will be over. And it won't be appealing anymore, and it'll actually feel like it's stuck in the past. Because it literally is. And that's like another big problem that a lot of these big things have. And it's literally what happened to Concord. They tried to jump on the hero arena shooter that was a trend that was started by Overwatch. But it took so goddamn long to make. By the time it released, that market was already fully saturated, and people were moving on. And you add on top of that the ridiculous $40 price tag, and then you add on top of that the hideous character designs, the uglification trends, and the pronouns, and that kind of shit. You add all that together, and you get failure. Simple as, you know. Let's see here. It launched into genres some say gamers had long since moved on from. Yeah, that's exactly what I just explained. In some respects, Space Marine 2 is similar. It is Saber's biggest ever video game undertaking and took over 4 years to develop. A significant cycle as far as AAA production goes. That's a pretty normal cycle. I wouldn't say that's significant. I think that's normal for a AAA cycle. But the thing is, Saber Interactive, they're a AA studio, I think. As we've seen with Concord and Suicide Squad, hardly an outlier. Indeed, we've seen huge hits for video games that had similar long developments. Arrowhead's Helldivers 2 took just shy of 8 years to develop, and at significant expense. But you notice they weren't trend chasing. It is an oversimplification to say Concord and Suicide Squad's long developments were the root cause of their failure, although they clearly played a big part. Speaking to IGN, Willits said that the problem isn't necessarily that AAA games take too long to develop and thus launch into already abandoned genres. Rather, Willits believes that AAA developers are tending to overscope their games, which in turn means they fail to do any one thing brilliantly. For Space Marine 2, Willits explained, Saber made sure to nail the core combat and kept a handle on the scope of the game, so much so that some have praised it for rekindling memories of the Xbox 360 era of action games. So this is like the fucking Army of Two era, what he's talking about here.
Yep.
That's the thing, like,
the good old days.
The good old days, all those fucking amazing military shooters. It is not necessarily a genre that has moved on because great games will always do well. Great games will always do well. I'm trying to think if there's anything that goes against that. I have a feeling that there are great games that unfortunately fall by the wayside. I can't think of any off the top of my head, though. I guess it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, though. If you gauge it by, like, many players like to play it, that makes it a great game by default. So, One of the things that we try to do at Saber, and this is part of my job as creative officer of all the teams, we have a core belief that what you do every second of what happens when you push these buttons, and that core gameplay loop is so critical. So we focus on the moment-to-moment interaction in the gameplay and the feeling that you have. And then we adhere to our core pillars, like be the ultimate Space Marine, melee, ranged, swarms, that's it. And a lot of teams throughout development will overscope games. They look at some other game that just came out and say, oh, we got to do that, let's add this. Man, I really jumped the gun. I had not read this article, chat, before I started the stream, I promise. And they lose focus on the core, what actually makes a game fun. Yeah, that's the thing. Scope creep is another fancy term for just trend chasing. We are not in Space Marine 2 doing things that, well, the swarms are new technology, but there isn't some revolutionary new game mechanic that no one's ever seen before. There are gameplay mechanics that people are familiar with, but we do it really, really well, and we execute really, really well. Yeah, that's a totally key thing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, you just have to build a really good wheel.
The author, Wandering Helmsman.
Yeah, I'm actually a Saber Interactive dev. Don't at me, bro. We don't need to sell 4 million units to make Space Marine 2 a success. There are many games, sadly, especially out of North American developers. I like that he's singled out Western AAA. I like that he's doing that.
Yeah.
Where if you do not sell 5 million copies, you are a failure. Thing is, I also explained how this is a problem at places like Square Enix, though, so this isn't exclusive to Western devs. I mean, what business are we in where you fail if you sell less than 5 million? Yeah, that is a problem. Like, if your business structure is such that 5 million isn't considered a success, you have issues with your business. That is not the game. That is not the game's fault. That is the business's fault. There are examples like that, and we do not want to be that business. We want to be a developer that focuses on the core experience, what makes the games actually fun, and then do it really well, and then make it affordably. Look at SnowRunner.
Yeah, making it affordably is real important.
Yeah, 100%. Look at SnowRunner. SnowRunner is literally driving trucks through mud. That's it. I'm done. I just described the game. 15 million people played it because the experience is perfect. Look at World War Z. Like, come on. We're not going to get an Academy Award for that game, but 25 million people have played it because it's just this perfectness, and that's what we do well. I love this attitude.
Yeah, dude. Look at SnowRunner. Dude, SnowRunner is literally just driving trucks through mud. That's it. I'm done. I described the game. Yeah, like he's right.
Yeah, and exactly. But I love his attitude here. His attitude is very much player-focused. Like, because one of the things...
Yeah, he wants to deliver an experience that players will like and deliver that experience well.
Exactly. That's all he wants to do. Because one of the things that annoys the fuck out of me coming from, like, modern AAA devs is that they don't want to make a good game. They want to make an important game. You see that word come up all the time. It's important that we have this. It's important that we have that.
It's the first game to include blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's the first one that did blah blah.
Which makes it so important. It's like, bitch, no, it's not.
It's the gayest game.
Yeah. And that's what makes it important. And they're so goddamn focused on what's important. And the thing is, it's not important. It's just important to them in a very narcissistic way that they don't even consider what players actually want. And here he is, just directly rebuking that sentiment. It's like, we want to focus in on, one or two gameplay elements, perfect them, and then present them and develop them in a way that players will really enjoy. And that's it. And he's like, look at SnowRunner. There's something important about that game. Neither is, like, World War Z. But 25 million people played it because it's just this perfectness, and that's what we do well. It's like, yes, that is the attitude that will find you success. Right there. Because Dustborne just can't seem to want to leave the fucking news. The Dustborne dev opens up after brutal launch. Caught us completely off guard. He was caught completely off guard by his game failing. Which...
Really?
Just...
Really?
Their CEO is worried for the future of the industry. It's not the industry, it's people like you in the industry. That's the problem. Ragnar Turnquist is one of the leading figures in the Norwegian game industry. He has worked in game development for nearly 30 years and loves his job. It is his greatest passion. This is rudimentary because it was translated from Finnish or Norwegian. Sorry, I guess pissed off Arch again. However, remember it was Arch's government that paid for Dustborne.
I know.
The launch of Dustborne, the newest game from Red Thread Games, has forced them to seriously reconsider whether game development is something worth pursuing. Is it worth living this way when you have a family? The game has garnered enormous international attention, mostly of the negative kind. Again, that's on you. That's not on the industry. That's not on the gamers. That's on you. You can always choose to make a game that players actually want to play. Fuck your victimhood mentality. Like that's one of the main reasons one of the biggest reasons I hate victimhood mentality, because victimhood requires you to surrender your agency. It means I am not. Is it worth? It means I am not responsible.
To make games if I can't feed my family.
It's like
if the answer is no, then fucking leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop making fucking games. If you can't make games and make money, you shouldn't be a game dev.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly. And that's why I hate this victim mentality, because it's like you have the choice to make games that players want to play and want to give you money for it or not. You know, and playing the victim is basically surrendering your agency to the mob. You know what I mean?
How am I supposed to know what kind of games people are gonna like? Ask them!
Yeah.
Do fucking market research. Like, what?
Yeah, seriously. They obviously didn't do that, because if they did, they never would have set up that booth at Tokyo Game Show. Well, what do the Japanese people want? Fucking angry black woman. Yes. This is what they want. We are a tiny studio, that's why it feels so blown out of proportion when we experience so many attacks and conspiracies. It takes a toll. Well, you know what else? You know who else was a tiny studio who took their licks, but they put their heads down to the grindstone and remained humble, and they came out way more than on top? Hello Games. Mm-hmm. Hello Games, yeah. and No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky got so much shit after the release of it, because the release of that game was fucking a travesty. But you know what happened? God, what's the name of that guy? What's the name of... Oh, I forgot his name. Todd Howard's the Bethesda guy. Who was the No Man's Sky guy? Damn it. But that guy, he literally told all of his employees. I think he had like 90-something employees at the time. He said, I know what
you're talking about. What's his fucking name?
I can't remember his name. But...
Seth? No.
I can't remember his name.
Why did I look up HelloFresh? That's not it.
Oh, Hello Games. Hello Games CEO.
Sean Murray.
Sean Murray, yes. Dude, Sean Murray, you know what he did? Is he told all of his people, he said, I want you all to completely ignore and be off of all social media. I don't want you to look at any of the criticisms. Okay? And then what he did is he basically funneled all the criticisms into his own account. He compiled all the criticisms into a spreadsheet and literally did keyword searches. And he prioritized what the complaints were. And he listed them and prioritized them out by how frequent they were. And then that was the list that the developers were tasked with fixing. And that's how he did it. He just said, okay, you 3, you're tasked with this. You 5, you're on this. And he just stuck it, and he just funneled everything to him. He stayed quiet. He didn't say a fucking thing. He went dark on social media, press interviews, everything. He went dark. And he just had his guys just fixing shit and giving the players what they wanted. And then like 6 months later, update. Here's the thing. We fixed this, this, and this. And then like another month later, update. We fixed this, this, and this. And now that game is multiple times more what it was originally sold as. You know what I mean? That is a developer who can take his licks, remains humble, and has a healthy perspective as to being player focused. That's what Sean Murray is. This guy is the opposite of that. Let's see. Red Thread's goal is to create 4 different games that stand out. Dude, woke shit doesn't stand out. It's all the same. Like, that's the thing. Whenever you see, like, you know, like, woke storytelling, you already know the story. You know the story without being told the story. That's how much it doesn't stand out. They aim to make something innovative and fresh. The developer has always made games that are different, often featuring characters that are a bit out of the ordinary. Out of the ordinary and quirky doesn't mean interesting. That's not what makes a character interesting. It's a character's actions and experiences that makes them interesting. Let's see. That means people don't like their games, and Turnquist is fine with that. Is he, though? I don't know about that. He does. This whole interview up until this point suggests he's not fine with that. It's been really tough to deal with this. We're used to people not liking your games. Bro, you're used to people not liking your games? Maybe
that sounds like a problem.
That
dog.
sounds like a consistent problem you have.
That sounds like something you should fix.
But we appreciate well-argued reviews, even if they're negative. Bro, there are... Madam Savvy did a live stream of the whole game. And she went through the whole thing, telling you what the problems are. The difference here is that massive amount of negative feedback from people who have never played the game and never will. They just jump on the bandwagon of those making videos. Well,
brother,
that's part of it, man.
Those making videos are playing the game. Those that aren't playing the game are seeing it.
Yeah.
If people don't even want to fucking play the game, you've already fucking failed. Because that means everything that you're showing off as the marketing, sucks.
Yeah, they're
right off the bat. Here's the thing: if people aren't even giving your game a chance, you have massively. Because even what you have chosen to show off in your trailers, even what you have chosen to advertise, sucks. You chose those bits. That's what you consider to be the best part of your game. That's what you consider to be the thing that you want to show off so that people will buy your fucking game.
Yes.
If what you consider to be the best part of your game isn't enough, why the fuck would I want to play the rest of it?
Those who actually play it seem to enjoy it. All, 16 of them? Dustborne isn't selling as much as we would like, but we're proud of it and think it's a good game. And that's the problem. What did that guy say earlier? Wait, there it is. Great games will always do well.
Dustborne has concurrent players 6 people. This game's been out for 3 months. We just talked about its all-time peak was 76.
Jesus.
24-hour peak is 9. And 6 people. I need you to understand.
76 people isn't enough to take the entire dev team out to a nice fancy dinner.
I was just talking about Last Faith. Last Faith's 24-hour peak is closer to the all-time peak of that game. And this game had got no fucking, no advertisement whatsoever. It did not blow up online.
Mm-mm.
Right?
It came and went, and nobody noticed.
And it's been out for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a single-player game. There's no, online anything.
Yeah.
And the 24-hour peak for that game is closer to the it's close to the all-time peak for Dustborne.
But I mean, it's just the opposing sentiments. Great, the Warhammer 40k guy. Great games will always do well. Dustborne isn't selling as much as we would like, but we're proud of it and we think it's a good game. And that's why you will fail. That's why you will always fail. Because what you think of the game doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what the players think of the game. And if you can't come to terms with that, you will always fail. This is a great little last quote. It says, has the debate around Dustborne changed your view of the room for political messages in games? Absolutely not. Some games are pure entertainment and focus on the player experience and fun, and it's great that such games exist. Literally the Saber Interactive guy's statement. Other games aren't as fun to play, but are more about the feelings you get from playing them than there are games that can address more serious topics. Games can be many things. He's literally expressing the thing that I said earlier, how games are too obsessed with thinking that they need to be important and not fun.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the sentiment this guy is saying here.
My game might not be fun, but it addresses serious topics. Yeah, addresses it to 16 people. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you're not moving the needle in any way because the only people
that the few people that give a shit about that.
Yeah,
fucking nonsense.
the only people that are going to buy it are people who already agree with you. So you're not moving the needle on anything. You know,
nothing
it's
says,
like,
"Hey,
this is like classic."
Let's have a dialogue over this serious topic.
It's
it's calling people racist.
It's just classic, like, political, look down their nose at the plebs, arrogant mentality.
But remember, this game is supposed to be not serious and satire.
Yeah,
just a reminder of that.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I think it's going to be about serious topics and more about the feelings. Oh, our game is, like, totally not serious, it's over the top and all this kind of stuff. It shouldn't be taken seriously. Like, this guy is so full of shit. He's so full of shit.